Freedom Front, NFF, parliamentarian Wimal Weeraransa stated that Tamils are one step away from claiming self-determination in the northern province. He expressed these sentiments during an interview with Ceylon Today. Excerpts. The government had criticized your earlier comments on the proposed constitution by stating that you were unacquainted on the subject. Thus you are merely trying to create bogies over the matter. However, 6 parliamentary subcommittees have presented their reports to the steering committee of the Constitutional Assembly by now. What do you have to say about the facts presented in the reports? A. Firstly, I would like to know what the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to propitiate by introducing this new constitution. The government had promised to fulfill the aspirations of the minorities at the United Nations Human Rights Council, UNHRC, in Geneva. Now the government has to report to the council at the next session in March next year the progress made so far. This proposed constitution will critically override the existing powers vested in the provincial councils by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. It will grant the financial powers, sovereignty powers, police powers and the power over land, which the provincial councils do not enjoy at the moment. The new constitution proposes the president to consult the chief minister prior to appointing the governor. Amongst other things, the constitution proposes to establish constitutional courts to interpret the constitution, even including the jurisdiction to accommodate petitions against dissolution of provincial councils at the will of the executive president. What more, they need to separate this country into pieces. The fact that Indonesia had already accepted the sovereignty over East Timor had aided Australia to separate from its original amalgamation with Indonesia. Acceptance over sovereignty extends to the state of separate governance. The government is striving to deviate from the name tags but initiating the master plan to fulfill the aspirations that arose from Vadakode and Thimphu discussions in the past. We should do justice to the lives sacrificed over ending the arms struggle. How do you comment on the structure of the police powers presented in the proposed constitution? A. All or some of the members of the Provincial Police Commission and also the apex of the police hierarchy, which is the Deputy Inspector General of Police, is appointed by the Chief Minister. The dig acts according to the advice of the Chief Minister. What is the use of Sri Lanka Police after establishing all the Provincial Police Commissions? This is a police set out to achieve the objectives of the Chief Minister. This is exactly what would happen in the practical sense. Any comments on the public service? A. There are a number of island-wide services operating under the purview of the Public Service Commission. There is a proposal presented vest some of these services under the Provincial Council. It is proposed to empower the Provincial Public Service Commission. All these decisions are being taken to make the core more powerful than the peer. There is a proposal to abolish the concurrent list introduced under the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. PC and concurrent list have been introduced as a damage control measure when late President Junior J. Wardine introduced the provincial councils to the country. The Chief Minister of the Provincial Council may get the opportunity to manipulate these services for their own political benefit. The public service may become a portion of his governance. The prevailing system of public administration hardly permits chief ministers to cause much influence to the administration. There is a new criteria proposed when appointing the governor of a provincial council. What do you think about it? A. The governor is the agent of the executive president appointed to a province. The constitution is set out to abolish the executive presidency. Then we have to rethink the position of the governor. The governor is appointed to make sure that the provincial council does not act in an arbitrary manner. The position is proposed to be filled out of the nominations received by the Constitutional Council from the President, sent after discussing the potential nominations with the Chief Minister of the respective province. Also, those nominees also should have restrained themselves from active politics at least for a period of 2 years. The person appointed as the governor of a province should have a good sense of politics. Best part is that the governor is appointed after consulting the chief minister. I'm sure the governor's position presented in the proposal will surely be a person loyal to the chief minister than to the president. This proposal has not disrespected the original notion of the country as a unitary state. How do you see it? A. Enactment of this constitution will mark the end of the unitary state of the country. There should be no division of his powers on sovereignty, removal of central power to formulate national policies, land powers to provincial councils, financial powers or power over police in a unitary state. But the proposals do not carry anything on granting self-determination to the provinces. It is one step ahead of attaining self-determination when all those power devolutions have taken place. Look how East Timor gained its power of self-determination. It's a matter of filing a single case highlighting the insecurity to an international tribunal. This will be done on two fronts. One is thorough the proposed war crimes tribunal. The case can be manipulated to prove that there had been incidents of mass killings that had taken place in the country during the war. Second is the sovereignty rights stated in the proposed constitution. So that, then the Tamil diaspora can easily prove that the sovereignty power and insecurity through the two instances. Then, they could extend a plea to the international community to accept them as a separate state. But the Tamil political parties have renounced their call for Elam, which is evident from the fact that they have attended the last two consecutive Independence Day celebrations under one flag. What have you to say about it? The leader of the opposition, R. Sampanthan, had stated that we have not given up the hope for Elam, but they have deviated from the maneuvers when attaining their objectives. We should exercise non-violent street fights like Gandhi did. If the government is not willing to provide us self-determination rights, we should win it with the support of the international community at a political rally held in Batticaloa in 2012. So how can you say that the Tamil politicians have dropped the aspirations of Elam? They have not diverted an inch from what Prabhakaran was striving for many years in the past. Do you see any threat to the national security from these proposals? Definitely yes. When the land powers are vested on the provincial councils, the provincial council will get the power to remove the security bases from the government lands. They will take appropriate action legally to demilitarize. It could be easily done by passing a proposal at the council itself. You jeopardize the state of national security when the forces are removed from those areas. However, there is nothing significant about the forces included in the proposal. Yes indeed. Because the covert operation to demoralize the security forces is happening as we speak. Nearly 200 Army intelligence officers have been questioned by the Criminal Investigation Division by now. The director of the military intelligence had been removed after civil society forced the government. Now they want the present Secretary of Defense to be removed, claiming that he is in close contact with former Secretary Defense Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Most of these civil movements are funded by the foreign communities. This is a greater conspiracy than we can ever imagine. But the government says that those investigations are not focused on the entire government, but against a fraction of militants who undertook political agendas of the then government. Were there any secret political agendas within the army during the previous government? You cannot undertake political agendas within the army. It's the fact. No army could have won the war in a situation where there were hidden political agendas within the army. People were deceived by this good government. Even some of the military personnel have voted expecting a Rs 10,000 pay hike. Some militants were reported to be involved in the disappearance of Prajeeth Eknalagoda and the murder of Lasantha Wickramathunga. What do you have to say about it? How can you say that they have committed these crimes? How can we ascertain that those actions were undertaken purely on military grounds or to fulfill one's command? Proper investigation should be conducted before coming into conclusions upon one or two facts. There was police action taken against some of the disabled military personnel near the presidential secretariat. How do you see this? This is one of the distressing moments when police unleashed their power against these innocent disabled war heroes. They have sacrificed everything for the motherland. This incident had vividly shown the conscience of the whole nation. There were some of your party members involved with the disabled soldiers during the protest and the later developments. Had this protest been organized under your patronage? Yes indeed. We always stand by our forces. There is nothing to hide. They sacrificed everything for the country. We supported their struggle. Do you see any evidence of a military coup about to break out in the near future? The government does not preserve the democracy within the country. See the local government polls getting delayed day by day. Now there are rumors that the election to urban councils are going to be held to secure their power. On the other hand, the victories secured and sealed with blood and sweat are now easily being handed over in the means of constitutional reforms. I would not say that our military is leaning towards a military coup like in Pakistan or Thailand. Our soldiers are so proud that they have ended terrorism from the entire country. See how the military personnel being put through so much of inconvenience in the name of investigations. Soldiers of higher ranks were being grilled by junior-ranked police constables in some instances. War hero has become a restricted word in the media today. Military sees how terrorists getting bailed out whilst militants go behind bars. Foremost of them all, the military sees that the country is driving towards anarchy. In any other country given these circumstances, the ground is prepared for a military coup to break out. Also, I cannot give any assurances that a coup would not to break here. It is not our wish or our choice. There was an allegation raised in Parliament that you had misappropriated funds during the presidential election. The funds allocated for the construction of the new court complex in Willisborough. Is there any truth behind this allegation? A. It's been nearly 2 years since the government came to power. I have presented myself before many investigative bodies a number of times. I have never been questioned in this regard. I challenge Minister Widyadasa Rajapaksa to prove it, then I will agree to anything he requires of me to do. A young boy was found dead at your residence. The news got caught up in the media like wildfire. What's the real story behind all this? A. The deceased lad Lahiru was a friend of my son. He had come over to my residence the previous night around 9:30 p.m. They had gone to sleep after watching a movie. Unfortunately, he was found unresponsive the next morning. My wife and the others had rushed him to the hospital, but it was too late. This is just another death. But now it carries more weight since the boy found dead in my residence. We do not let our kids go to nightclubs and play around. Instead, we have given them the freedom to bring their friends home. We have few of my son's friends hanging out at the residence. I have political enemies, so they tried to link this issue to my young daughter who is just a 16-year-old. But later now they come after my wife. The judicial medical officer had decided that this had caused due to a heart failure. We can see the real cause after the post-mortem is being published.